Hey everybody, I'm going to show you in this video how to import and split up your interview questions for the second part of your podcast. So the last video showed you how to move your music around in large chunks, and it also showed you how to import your introduction. So I have my music here just as a review, and my introduction is here, okay? And then I have my rest of my music over here that we'll use today, okay? So first thing I want to do is um, import my interview question. So I add a new track, voice and microphones, right? And then close that, and then click the import file button down here. So I'll click import file, and then I have my file saved in my Google Drive called Interview, okay, which I recorded again using my phone, and then I sent it to my Google Drive using the Google Drive app on my phone. So I click Open, and now it'll import it. Okay, so this is my interview. Oh, it did it already. Look at that, and it named it something. Okay. So that was, remember last time I clicked this button and did import. So I did import file this way, and it actually named the file for me, so I can actually delete this track. That was cool. I just learned that right now. Alright, so now we want to make sure that my interview file lines up with my introduction. So what I'm going to do is grab this and move it up so it's right below my introduction. So now I have my introduction and my interview. So I'm going to move this over so it starts right after my introduction ends. So let's see what that sounds like. I might need to clip it a little bit.
Students, Mr. Peters has also made huge strides in improving their rehearsal and performance space. So I believe Mr. Peters to be an integral part of the Highland School and Midland Park communities and someone who has positively impacted others. Welcome to the studio.
Okay, so that was a little bit too long of a pause, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to clip off some of these parts. So where my audio ends,
someone who has positively impacted others.
It ends like right there. So I'm going to bring this back a little bit so it ends and make sure that sounds right.
It's positively impacted others.
Okay, and now I want the other one to start right away. Okay, so let's see where the audio starts.
Welcome.
So it starts right on that first one. So I'm going to clip this front part off. Okay, and if you go too far, you just drag it back. It's okay, it doesn't delete it. It just starts it in a different spot. So now let's see what that sounds like.
Welcome to the...
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to drag this over so it ends when the other one begins. Let's see what that sounds like.
And someone who has positively impacted others. Welcome to the studio, Mr. Peters.
Hello. All right, so now we're in our interview questions. Now, we recorded this in one big chunk, so I'm going to zoom out, okay, so you can see it's pretty long, okay? Now, remember, for this project, you can see it goes on for a while, you need to cut your interview questions in half, okay? So I'm going to zoom out until I can see the whole thing, okay? And I'm going to start it about here because this is near the middle, and I'm going to wait till the end of me answering a question and then my wife starting the next question, and then stop it, okay?
The purpose that it originally was intended. I talked with a lot of colleagues and went to a lot of conferences and stuff, and kind of learned that the East Coast was really one of the only places that started students on band instruments, even in fourth grade. Apparently, the West Coast was they were putting out really, really talented musicians, and people on the East Coast, like way back in like the 40s and 50s, thought, well, let's get a leg up and start kids on instruments earlier without doing any real research. So, and it turns out like it doesn't really seem to get them any further ahead. because the musicians in the Midwest are still kind of kicking our butts in that regard. So I thought it was kind of time for a change and try to get things ahead with the times. So I decided to try to come up with an idea for a different kind of class. So we stopped recorder, and now you can just join band in 4th grade. And there really hasn't been any slowdown as far as the skill level of the students. So then I came up with this music technology class that we do, and it's kind of been evolving for the last few years ever since.
But it seems to have a good.
Okay, so that's about halfway. So I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to find, so zoom in nice and good so that I can find where my talking stops and my wife's next question starts. So,
and it's kind of been evolving for the last few years ever since.
But it seems that.
So that's the next thing. So she starts. So let's zoom in a little more so I can find that exact spot. Okay, so it's right here. So now I'm going to split this track into 2 pieces, and what you want to make sure you do is that this is your track is selected, right? You've clicked on this track here, and the purple line is exactly where you want it to split. You can always undo if it's not the right place, but you want to make sure this purple line is right here, okay? Now, I go up to Edit, Split Region. Okay, and now where that purple line is, look what it did. It split it into 2 pieces. So now I can play this one. Alright, so I can zoom out a little bit and I can separate these 2. Okay, so okay, so now there's a break. So now I'm going to zoom back out again. Okay, so I can see my music. Alright. And we need to make this space bigger. Alright, so remember how I showed you how to move all the music at once, okay? So when we zoom in more, okay, I'm looking for my music break music here. That's my closing. Okay, here's my music break, right? Music break, music break, music break. So I have my whole music break here, okay? So remember, you click out here and hold down and drag to make a box to select your entire music break music. So I let go, and now it's got everything selected. And what I want to do is just grab the front, okay? You can grab it anywhere, and it moves it all together, see? I just clicked once, and now I'm going to drag it down until my first half of my interview ends. Okay, so here's the first half of my interview. So we're going to do it right here, and let's see what that sounds like.
Class that we do, and it's kind of been evolving for the last few years.
Okay, so I kind of cut myself off there. So I'm going to pop it over. Actually, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Alright, and now I should be able to drag it over a little bit more so it starts after my last word.
And it's kind of been evolving for the last few years.
Okay, so you hear how my voice was soft and then this comes in loud, so I need to turn my voice up a little bit. So I'm going to turn up my voice here. Try that again.
And it's kind of been evolving for the last few years. Ever since.
Okay, and that's where my second half of my interview needs to go. So I moved a little too far away, so I'm going to grab it and drag it back here. Oop, too far. And I want it to start as the rest is fading out. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit. And we're going to bring it here. Let's see what that sounds like.
It seems to have a good reception.
I
Your
think so.
students like it?
I think so. They seem to.
Sounds like it to me. I like it. In my introduction, I mentioned your work to improve the rehearsal and performance space at Highland School. Can you tell us a little?
Okay, so that's how we did it. So we split the track. Okay, we put our music break music in the middle, and now we have the second half of our interview going. Okay, so now that I have the second half of the interview, the last thing I'm going to put in is the conclusion, and then move my exit music to the end, and I'll show you how to do that in the next video. Alright, don't forget to save.